Hi, welcome. So in the last video, we introduced you to Python functions and you were able to write your first function in Python. We also showed you how to use one parameter and be able to get an output. So in this video, we are going to continue to use more parameters and show you the concept of positional arguments and keyword arguments, which is very important to understand in Python and maybe in even other programming languages. So let's just go straight to the computer and look at that. So here we are. We are going to look at some concepts like positional arguments and keyword arguments. So the first thing we would want to do here is to just create a function and then we add maybe a second parameter, because in the last video we looked at a function but we use a single parameter. So let's just do that. Let's get our greeting function again. Remember, this is how you create a function. You can always go back and take a look at the last video. So we did our function last time and we greeted a user and we showed you how to use the return as an output. So you can always go and do that, but then we'll just do something simple. Let's just greet the user and then we just say name and then maybe the course. So we want a function with two parameters. So there's something which might be good to know. When we are creating a function like this, we call these parameters. So the name is one parameter, the course one parameter. But when you'll be calling the function, what you're going to pass in, you're going to give an argument. So the name will equal to James is an argument. So you just think of it like you're arguing with the function. I don't know, but then they call it an argument. But they can be used interchangeably most of the times. I mean, like people just use them interchangeably, but this is called a parameter when you're creating a function, and it's actually called an argument when you are calling the function and passing in the value of that parameter. So let's just move on with that. So this is a simple function to create, and then we can just return an f string here. Let's just give an f string here, and then we can say hi. Remember, we've looked at f strings when we're dealing with strings, so this should not be strange to you. Name, and then we have dot welcome to the, then now we want to make the course variable also to the, want to make the course variable too. So we are going to put course here, pass in course here to the name of the course, and then we add course at the end. So that is our function. So if you run it, it is stored, and we can always call this function, and then now we are going to pass in these two arguments. So we can give it a first argument, for example, like Peter. So we can say Peter, and then for the part of the course, we can give it something like Python, for example. So Python. So when we run this, we get, hi Peter, welcome to the Python course. So this is okay. You are able to pass in these two parameters, input these two arguments, and then you get this output. Okay, now let's look at the next thing. Now the next thing is we want to look at if an argument is missing, what happens. So if instead we had this and then we didn't pass in the second one, so when we run it, like we saw in the last video, again here we see that this function is missing one positional argument. So normally it was expecting that you should have put Python here, the second one, but it didn't see it, so it throws an error. You said you were going to give it pass in two arguments here, and you pass just one, so you get this error. Okay, now let us look now at the concept now of positional arguments. So we are just going to create a function, and then we are going to use it to be able to look at those concepts here. So let's just create a function here, def welcome, and then we can say student, course, teacher. Now we put three parameters, and then we can say print. For example, let's just do something here. Print f string again. Hello student. You can say you are welcome. You're welcome to the course. Now we need to make sure this is also in parentheses like this. Course offered by. Now we put in the name of the teacher here, and then we have to make sure that we don't forget, we have to make sure that we close this here like this. So let me close this. So it begins with this and then it ends with this. So let's run this. We've created that function welcome, and then now let us call that function welcome now. So let us call it, we are going to say welcome, and then we pass in, say Peter. Let me pass in Peter. Then we pass in Python. Python, and then we pass in teacher1. Teacher1. Okay, let's run this. Okay, let me see. So it says name student not defined. So okay, so here it is. We have to say student here. Okay, good. So now let us see what we have here. So we have hello Peter, you are welcome to the Python course offered by teacher1. Okay, now what happens if instead we run it like this? Then instead of putting, say, teacher Peter here, we put Python. And then here we instead put teacher1. 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 Then here instead we put something like maybe Peter here. Now, as you expect, when you run it, you see it says hello Python, you are welcome to the teacher1 course offered by Peter. So this is an example of what we call positional argument, because when you are entering this data like this, when you're passing these arguments here, Python assumes that you're going to respect the position. You will know that the student was the first, the course was the second, and the teacher was the third. So you're going to just follow it as you did here: student, course, teacher. So when you change the position, that's why it's called positional argument, it gets confused because it just knows that the first one has to be this, the second one has to be this, the third one has to be that. So that is why there are two concepts. There's the positional argument and there is the keyword argument. So if you are sure about the positions, you put them like this, and then you say Peter, Python, teacher. But if you are not sure about the positions, then this is what you do now. So this is now the keyword argument. This is what you do. Let's copy this, same thing, paste here. But instead, we are going to clearly tell Python that this parameter course, here is the argument, Python. The second one called teacher. Here is the value to use. Then this other one called student. here is what to use. So when you run this, you get the right thing, which is hello Peter, you're welcome to the Python course offered by Teacher One. So when you're not sure about the positions of your parameters, you use this, which is the keyword argument, where you clearly say, I know I want to take a course and this is the value. I know there is a teacher somewhere, I don't know the position, but this is the value. And I know there is a student somewhere in that function and this is the value. So Python will be able to sort things out for you and give you the right result. So I hope you've been able to learn about these keyword arguments and positional arguments, which are very important and beginners get confused. So see you next video. Wish you good data luck.